Be careful what you wish for, young man.
I just want my life to change.
Every gift comes with a price. Very well then, as you wish.
The first thing Tunde lost was small enough to laugh about. The second was his own reflection. By the time he understood the true cost of his bargain, it was almost too late to undo it. He lived on the edge of a bustling African city in a single room he shared with his mother. Every morning before sunrise, he walked through the crowded streets searching for work. Every evening, he came home with empty hands and a heavier heart. His father had died when he was a child, leaving his mother to raise him alone. She sold roasted corn by the roadside from dawn until dusk, and the coins she earned were barely enough to keep food on the table. He hated watching her stand for hours under the scorching sun while customers haggled over pennies. He hated the cracks spreading across her palms. Most of all, he hated the helplessness that clung to him like a second skin. Years passed, and his frustration cuddled into something sharper. Friends he had grown up with were thriving. New businesses, new cars, glossy photographs of lives he could only imagine. Tunde stayed exactly where he was. Every application ended in silence. Every opportunity slipped away just as he reached for it. The harder he tried, the more the world seemed to close its fist around him. One evening, after yet another rejection letter, he wandered to the outskirts of the city without really deciding to go there. The sun was already low. He found himself standing before an ancient baobab tree, the kind villagers whispered about, a place where spirits were said to gather once darkness fell. Tunde had always scoffed at such stories. That night, too tired to care, he sank down beneath its branches and buried his face in his hands. I can't keep living like this. I just want one chance. The breeze answered first, rustling through the leaves. Then a voice followed it. What would you give for that chance? Tunde's head snapped up. An old man stood a few steps away, though there had been no one there a moment before. His robes hung loose on a thin frame, and his eyes caught the dying light strangely, like coins at the bottom of a well. Who are you? Tunde asked, rising cautiously. A man who can help you, and he smiled. Help me how? I can give you everything you desire. Wealth, respect, a mother who never has to stand in the sun again. Tunde's breath caught. How do you know about my mother? I know many things, the old man said simply, tapping his walking stick against the earth. Tomorrow morning, your poverty will be over. You will never worry about money again. And what do you want in return? Tunde asked, already half afraid of the answer. The stranger pointed to the ground. Your shadow. Tunde almost laughed. A shadow was nothing, a shape, a smudge, gone the moment a cloud passed overhead. What harm could it do to give away something so worthless? He thought of his mother's hands, of the empty cupboards, of every door that shut in his face. I accept, he said, and held out his hand. The old man's grip was cold as river stone. A wind tore through the clearing, and the branches above them thrashed as though trying to warn him. Then, slowly, Tunde's shadow peeled away from his feet like smoke lifting off water, stretched towards the stranger, and vanished into the dark. Our bargain is complete, the old man said. Then he was gone, and Tunde was alone, wondering if he had imagined the whole encounter. He had his answer by morning. His phone would not stop ringing. Calls, messages, a lawyer's voice thick with formality. A wealthy relative overseas had died without warning, and Tunde, to everyone's astonishment, had inherited everything. land, businesses, properties, accounts with more zeros than he could count. Within weeks, his life was unrecognizable. He moved his mother into a mansion, servants attending her every need. The woman who once sold roasted corn by the roadside now slept beneath silk sheets. For the first time, Tunde felt like a success. People who once looked past him now leaned in to catch his attention. Then the wrongness started. A child on the street pointed at his feet and asked, "Where is your shadow?" Tunde looked down at the bright pavement and felt his stomach drop. There was nothing beneath him, just sunlight pooling where his shadow should have been. He told himself it meant nothing and kept walking. But dogs began barking when he passed. Cats hissed and fled. Birds emptied out of trees before he came near, as though something in him set off an alarm only animals could hear. Rumors followed the silence. Cursed people murmured, dark magic, and Tunde pretended not to hear them, even as the words followed him home. Then his reflection began to fade. First faint, like a photograph left too long in the sun. Then, within a month, gone completely. He stood before mirrors and watched them show him the room at his back, the furniture, the light, everything except himself. Doctors found nothing wrong. Spiritual leaders offered the same warning over and over. You have lost a part of yourself. He stopped asking. Worse was the fear that crept in behind it. Friends stopped calling, business partners grew stiff and formal around him, unable to say why. Even relatives found reasons to leave early. No one could name what was wrong with him, only that something was, and money could not buy him back into their ease. The final blow came quietly. He returned home one evening to find his mother waiting, her face drawn with worry. "My son, we need to talk." He sat beside her, already bracing. "You have given me everything I ever dreamed of, but when I look at you now, I no longer recognize you. Somewhere along the line, I feel like I lost my son." Her words landed harder than any rejection letter ever did. That night, he walked the halls of his mansion and heard only his own footsteps echoing off rooms too large and too empty to mean anything. He had wealth, he had comfort, he never felt more alone in his life. The next evening, he returned to the baobab tree, colder now than he remembered it. "I know you are here," he shouted. The wind answered before the old man did, sweeping through the branches until the stranger stood before him again, calm and unhurried, as though he had never left. "You have returned," the old man said. "Take the money, take the houses, take all of it. I want my shadow back." "You traded it willingly," the old man reminded him. "I was desperate." "You were greedy, and the truth of it cut deeper than any lie could." Tunde bowed his head. "Please." The old man studied him for a long moment. "There is one way. You must give away everything you gained from our bargain. Every coin." Tunde's stomach turned. He had known real poverty, and the memory terrified him more than the empty mirrors ever had. For days, he wrestled with the choice, comfort kept or wholeness regained. In the end, the answer found him. The wealth had already cost more than it was worth. So he began to give it away. Schools rose in villages that never had one. Hospitals opened their doors. Scholarships were funded. Roads repaired. Hungry families fed. Widows and orphans given a place to call home. Piece by piece, his fortune emptied out of his hands. The businesses, the houses, the cars, until almost nothing remained. Some called him foolish. Some called him generous. Tunde stopped listening to either. Months later, he was walking through a village where a new school stood because of what he had given. Children played in the afternoon sun. A little girl looked down and gasped, pointing at the ground beside him. There, stretching dark and solid across the dirt, was Tunde's shadow. Tears blurred his vision before he could stop them. The next morning, he stood before a mirror and found his own face looking back. Not wealthy, not powerful, but whole. Tunde never regained the fortune he once had. He built a smaller, honest life instead and found in it something the money had never given him: peace, respect, purpose. Whenever anyone spoke of shortcuts to riches, he told them about a young man who once sold his shadow and nearly lost himself for good. Because some things are worth more than money, and once they are gone, not everyone gets the chance to earn them back. If this story shook something loose in you, hit the like, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you never miss the next one. And tell me in the comments, if a stranger appeared at your lowest moment offering everything you wanted, what price would be too high to pay? See you in the next story.